Welcome back, Soulful Society, to Soulful of Wellness,
the multi-generational podcast brought to you by two functional imperfectionists
and certified coaches
who deliver tips to live your most authentic, balanced, and anxiety-free life.
Thank you for joining us again for another week of wellness goodness.
And if you're new to the Soulful Society,
welcome!
And thanks for being here.
We'd love to have you as a regular listener. So if you enjoyed today's podcast, please consider subscribing or hitting that follow button so you'll get a new episode delivered automatically to your phone every Thursday morning.
If you haven't yet rated and reviewed Soulful of Wellness, we'd love to have you help us out by tapping that 5th star and providing a few words of feedback.
Beautiful. In today's episode, we're talking about venting, how to move out of negativity and into inner peace.
Let's do it.
Today is an interesting topic. It's exciting because it's not our normal route. Like, we're talking about essentially negative vibes and really what you can do to clear the air, as well as this idea of venting and why it's not productive for you. We're not saying to stop it completely, but really what we've learned through this Mind Body Green article and through this psychologist on how to really turn it around to be productive, to help you move on from it.
Right. Venting has its time and its place. Use it for that bit of time in that place and move on. Keep going. Leave it in the rear view.
Okay. So let me read you a little snippet from the article. I'm gonna read a few snippets, but here's the first. When it comes to addressing your problems productively, the science is clear, and a long venting session might not be the best route to take. If all you do is vent about how you feel, that doesn't actually help people work through the problem, says award-winning psychologist Ethan Kross, PhD. Cool. Okay. Now that we know that.
Yeah, I'm with you, because there's the processing element, but then there's the what to do about it, like the moving on. So if the venting in the moment helps you with the processing, helps you assimilate the feelings and the emotions and the information itself and give everything a place so that you can make sense of it, that serves a purpose. But when you get stuck in the loop of the venting, now you're just complaining. Now you're just whining.
Now you're just stuck in a negative thought loop that doesn't feel good, and it's just going to keep feeling worse. I mean, negativity breeds more negativity. So then you're just sitting in the muck, and then you're just rolling around in the mud.
Yeah.
It's like, let's take a spiritual shower. Like, let's cleanse that out and move on.
Right. So the venting can be good for the letting it out, the releasing aspect. Because otherwise, I suppose there is the flip side of it. If you pretend it doesn't exist and you don't acknowledge it, then it's still in you. Then you're not washing it off. You're burying it and you're packing it down. The danger being that someday it's going to grow back up.
Oh, yeah.
So venting, talking about it, sharing even negative experiences for the benefit of releasing it and moving on. Okay, I get where you're going with this.
So venting your emotions to someone else can be really good for strengthening friendship and relational bonds between two people. Interesting. It feels good to know that there's someone else out there who cares enough about you that they're willing to take the time to listen.
Yeah.
But at a certain point in the conversation, you ideally want the person you're talking to help broaden your perspective.
Okay, a couple different thoughts come up in reaction to that. Your friend or loved one can be your sounding board, enabling that person, maybe even up front, empowering them and saying, hey, when you catch me no longer using this little venting session we're going to have in a productive way, when you catch me really starting to cycle, please call me out and tell me it is now time to move on. Like, don't let me do that to myself, because I know my history. I'm self-aware enough. That's what I tend to do. Please don't let me fall back into those old unhealthy habits.
I just thought of something as you were saying that. Self-awareness is the key. Mm-hmm. Do you want to change this? Do you have hope to be more of a positive human being who can work through real big negative emotions to come out the other side and to resolve things? Or do you really just enjoy talking shit? Do you enjoy negativity?
Okay, even bigger. I'm going to zoom out even more.
Okay.
Do you even know this is your MO? Do you know this is what you do? Do you know your friends and loved ones are starting to connect the dots and are maybe getting a little sick of your shit, to put it really super bluntly? Or is this just so ingrained in you to focus on the negative that you don't even realize that you're doing it, when you're doing it, and the impact it's having on you?
Let's say, for the sake of the episode, you do know.
Okay.
You're like, I'm a total venter. That's my thing. And I just can't seem to get out of the negativity. Like, this episode is 100% for you, because that's what we're going to talk about today. How to get yourself, pull yourself out of it, take that spiritual cleansing shower, move on, and use it as a lesson learned. Now, if you are aware that this is something you do, are you aware of why? What's the motivation that keeps you trapped in the venting cycle? Like, do you just enjoy getting fired up and worked up? Does it make you feel like you have control in a weird way?
Mm-hmm. Does it make you feel alive? Like, okay,
drama.
They're
yes.
bad experiences, but they're experiences. Hell, I know I'm alive here.
Mm-hmm. I like a little bit of drama.
Kind of way. Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't feel good, but at least it's living.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's like, I can talk this into resolving itself. Like, thinking to yourself, if I just keep talking about it and venting about it to another person, can that just help me get over this? And the answer is no.
Right. That tells me, just the fact that you were framing the question that way tells me that in your Kaelynn's heart of hearts, your ultimate goal is to resolve and move forward.
Oh, okay.
But
right. Yeah,
I don't know that that's a fair assumption.
Right. Is it fun? Like, do you have fun? Because people like talking shit and gossiping, right?
In the attention of it. Do you like people saying, oh my gosh, poor you. Why do these sucky things always happen to you? You don't deserve this. Does that feel good when you hear that and validating?
Well, this feels kind of like a disempowered mindset of like lack mindset instead of abundance. Like, things happen to me instead of the shifting of the perspective of things happen for me.
Yes,
and life,
victim mindset. Mm-hmm.
And circumstances just occur, and it's all about my reaction and how I react to it. And with that being said, it's okay to freak out. It's okay to have a moment. It's okay to vent. It's just what we're talking about today is when it's reaching a point that is no longer healthy for you or those around you, and it's really doing less good, doing more harm than good.
Right. You just keep bringing up past failures or wrongs or disappointments. Everyone else has moved on. Everyone else has processed, didn't love it either at the time, but has moved on from it. And you're just unearthing these. People are like, seriously? You're still holding on to that? I'd not only gotten over it, I'd basically forgotten about it until just now. So thanks for that.
If you don't let it go or find or cultivate a habit to move on from it, it's going to keep bubbling, and then it's just going to keep turning it, snowballing and turning into something else. But then that's when you get stuck in that rumination and those negative thought cycles we've talked about a lot, and those patterns of negative thinking. You start to look for the bad. You start to look for the negativity, because that's the cycle that your thought patterns are in.
You're basically living in angst. Like, people say, oh, anxiety is just what if worries, like future what if worries. Well, rumination is the past tense of anxiety, isn't it? It's just rehashing all these old transgressions or perceived transgressions.
Mm-hmm. And it keeps you just in a simplistic terms, in a negative place.
Yeah.
And we want you to thrive. We want you to feel good. We want you to feel happy. We want you to feel satisfied. We want you, this is what health and wellness coaching is it's getting you to the place you want to be by helping you uncover your answers about your truths, your goals, your wishes, your desires, and seeing you get there. This is what we want.
Beautiful.
Just a little coaching plug there. It was a passionate moment.
Well timed, it fit.
It fit. So broadening your perspective ultimately helps you reach a sense of closure, which is often exactly what you need when you're struggling with negative internal dialogue, according to the psychologist from this Mind Body Green article, Dr. Cross. It's just something really interesting, Kit, that you will appreciate because he references a study.
I do love those hard, cold facts.
That measured students' ability to cope after 9/11. So of the variety of strategies for reducing stress, focusing solely on venting emotions led to longer-term mental health struggles. The report stated.
Yeah, that's basically describing how we just defined rumination versus venting to process and move forward. To keep yourself stuck. I was going to say stay stuck, but it's more than staying stuck. You're honestly, you're the prisoner and captor.
Ooh.
You're keeping yourself stuck in, albeit a very, very, in this case, tragic event. Sometimes we're talking about less tragic, but albeit unpleasant events. Either way, why would you want to be held captive? And further, why would you want to hold yourself captive? Don't do that to yourself.
So if we're talking about the person who, if you are aware, I vent and it's starting not to feel good. It's starting to just, I don't know, I can't release it. I feel like this isn't working for me anymore. That's the opportunity you could have to find that person in your life to say, hey, I need you to hold me accountable here. Like, I need to vent to you about something, but please feel free to cut me off when I've gone too far.
Right. If I start cycling around, if I come back for round 2, cut me off.
This has to be a specific person because there could be another person who, they want to sit in that muck and they want to vent in an endless circle with you. Endless. And just sit there with you and focus on the negative.
Yeah, that's a real danger zone because that kindred spirit, that like-minded individual, and now you're both just building it off each other like ping pong back and forth, like, oh yeah, and this, and then it gets more and more, and you're like, oh, I feel so validated, so wronged, but you're building all this around something ultimately negative.
And it's funny you say that because at the beginning, we read venting to your emotions can be good for strengthening friendships and relational bonds between two people. Because you feel like someone cares about you to listen and to validate you. And but it reaches a point. You got to have that person help you broaden your perspective and ask you questions like, how have you dealt with this in the past? How do you think this is going to impact you long term? Rather than just letting you and helping you add logs to the burning fire by continually rehearsing what you felt, rehearsing over and over again in that rumination.
Right. Or even try to push you in a forward motion, saying something like, I hear you. You gave me plenty of great detail. I can picture all of that. What are your next steps? What are you going to do from here? Asking you more forward looking, forward thinking, forward action questions.
Like the zooming out perspective. Having someone in your life who can help you do that. Well, that's what we're here for. But having someone real time in that moment help you zoom out. So that way you're not just on a merry-go-round of negative emotions.
I love the merry-go-round analogy because every part of it, the overstimulation of a merry-go-round, the sights, the sounds, the smells, the little bit of queasiness in your stomach, the thrill, but also a little bit scared. It all works so perfectly for this spiral of negativity, feeding each other in the conversation of ways you were transgressed or disappointments that were thrust upon you in life. And if you want to focus on negatives, you will find negatives everywhere. There's no shortage of disappointments or failures or things that don't go as planned. And when you focus energy on them, you are going to keep finding them everywhere.
It's similar to the science of gratitude in the exact opposite way. The more things you find to be grateful for, the more grateful things you will find.
Absolutely. And you could say the more things you find to delight in or be pleasantly surprised by, or to just have that little moment of, oh my goodness, isn't that lovely? The little bits of beauty or happiness or friendliness, basically the opposite of focusing on the negative. The little bits of positive that you focus on, you will then start to find more and more of those as you focus your energy on them.
But what if this is easier said than done for you?
And it probably is for a lot of people.
Most likely. There are some tools here that you can start to practice and implement to start to pivot your natural way of thinking, your go-to thought pattern, to see more of the positive, more of the things to be grateful for.
Amazing. Tell us more.
One tool is distance self-talk. This can be particularly helpful when we're talking about that venting habit.
Like the victim mindset?
Yes. So you can think, oh, what am I going to do? What does this mean? Or you could self-distance talk, giving yourself advice in the third person. Try it. It may sound really silly, but try to work through a problem using your own name. It's much easier for us to give advice to other people than to ourselves. So if we distance self-talk, it uses language to, physiologically, psychologically shift your perspective and talk to yourself more similarly than how you would communicate with a friend.
I could see where this would be effective, not just in the how to move forward aspect of it, but in processing to understand what happened. When you remove yourself from the one who was wronged and just try as best you can to look at it objectively, like this happened to this human, here's what was wrong about it. I could see where that would really help you understand when things aren't personal. You got soaking wet in your brand new outfit. Well, it was a thunderstorm. It wasn't personal. It sucked. Yes. It wasn't personal. And I just make up that one example on the fly, but you get the idea. Because when you're like, I just bought this, I was so excited to wear it, it's really hard to not take it personally. I get that.
And that helps you implement your own zooming out perspective, your own strategy to zoom out and see the bigger picture. Next tool would be affirmations. So the technique called affirmations is for you if you've heard of affirmations, you know what they are, you've tried them, and they're not for you. You can't really get yourself to fake it till you make it or really believe any of that to be true. So instead of I am worthy, for example, you could ask yourself, what if I'm worthy?
Like a hypothetical situation. If I were worthy, then ... I love it.
Rather than disagreeing with yourself, like, I am beautiful. Oh, I don't know. Are you? What if I'm beautiful?
I actually really kind of like how that feels.
It kind of reminds me of in positive psychology. It's the opposite of anxious what if worries, and you flip it on its head. Well, what if I am on time to this event?
That's so funny. That one popped into my head. Exactly like 10 seconds before you said it. Exactly that one.
Like, what if the date goes well?
Ooh, I see where that could be really effective.
What if I get the job? What if my dream life is mine? So I really like this one. And of course, it's an anxiety tool. We always go back to anxiety tools in our episodes, and because that's what really resonates with us, and we found that resonates with you too from your feedback. So you can use that in changing your self-talk, in moving out of negativity and also for calming any sort of anxiety about the future.
I think that could also help in decision-making situations because sometimes I'm guilty of this. It's human nature. I want something just because I can't have it or think I can't have it or think I'm not going to get it. So if I did what if I were offered the job, that would give me the room to decide if I even really want the job. What if ultimately the answer is, oh, thanks, that feels really good that you want me, but no thanks because I don't think I really want it. That could help me make decisions, or if I ultimately don't get the job offer, feel better about the fact that I didn't get it because I'm like, honestly, I'm pretty sure I wasn't going to take it anyway.
It helps you step into your power.
What a great strategy.
I like this one a lot.
Affirmations.
Yeah. Affirmations. So the next tool is a gratitude practice. We've talked about this a lot and the science behind it. Now, it can literally rewire your brain. But I hope this makes you feel better. Your brain is actually hardwired for negativity. So there's no need to beat yourself up or feel bad or ruminate over the fact that, I have negative thought patterns. I had a negative thought. No, we don't want to be scared or averse to negative thinking. It's natural. It's natural for humans.
Keep us alive in the Stone Age things?
Yes, I feel running from a tiger, like hardwired for negativity, to always head on a swivel, looking for danger.
Yeah, keep us safe, keep us alive. Well, we don't live in that time anymore.
No, but unfortunately our brains haven't seemed to evolve out of being at a fear-based state.
Right. There are certain areas, honestly, be skeptical. Do you know how many contests I have won this week according to the voicemails that robocall me? 3. I've won Publishers Clearinghouse twice in the past week, and another one that all I have to do is call and give the claim code. So maybe use that natural skepticism / negativity in the realms where it's appropriate in 2022.
That really does help our partnership because Kit reminds me to be skeptical of things. So you always got to have the balance, right?
Yeah.
So negative thinking is a survival mechanism. All of us humans have it. Don't beat yourself up for it. It's very normal. In terms of a gratitude practice, that can really be practiced however you want. I like to journal about it and really get pen to paper. I find that it really helps me sort of solidify those thoughts, especially going back and reading it. And I also like to write down things that I'm grateful in advance as if I already have them now.
It can be so effective. For whatever reason, giving the gratitude as if, it's sort of the what if, but as if it had already come to fruition, brings a concreteness to a situation that doesn't exist yet, that conjures its existence. I'm sounding really out there right now, but it's worked.
I dig it, for sure. So the last tool is called temporal distancing. This tool essentially means mental time travel, but in a healthy way. So think about how you're going to feel about the problem in a week, a month, a year. Will it still hold the same amount of brain space for you?
What's the rule about if it won't matter in 5 years, it doesn't deserve 5 hours of anxiety, something like that?
I feel like it's if it won't matter in, I don't know, it's a rule of 5s. We have to look that up.
But you get the gist of it. So basically, if it's not going to matter in 5 days, it probably shouldn't get 5 minutes of anxiety now. If it's not going to matter in 5 years, you shouldn't worry about it for the next 5 days.
Your brain is going to naturally try and catastrophize. I don't know why. It's just a mechanism that it used to protect you. And it's going to try to stay in a thought loop. Most likely it's the ego trying to do its thing, which is it's just trying to protect you here. And this can help you really distance from it and to unravel that sense of being really wrapped up in this negative occurrence or circumstance. So you're able to move on and officially let go.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode about rumination venting versus processing and moving forward.
Don't forget to practice the soulful strategies of today's episode: distant self-talk, affirmations, temporal distancing, and practicing gratitude in advance.
Thank you so much for joining us. We wish you a week full of wellness, peace, love, and light.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe or follow button for a weekly dose of wellness goodness. Peace, love, and light. The Soulful of Wellness hosts are certified health and wellness coaches. This podcast is intended to inform and entertain listeners on their wellness journey. This podcast is meant to enhance, not replace, listeners' care from doctors, therapists, or other medical providers.